So good morning. We're reading today from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18. And it's fascinating in a way when you see people struggling with how to deal with people in issues of justice, injustice, criminality. And it's wrestling with what a human being is, who a human being is, how human beings are. And issues of injustice and violence, and how to deal with that, how to live with that, how to work with that. What's the next step? And the possibility of people changing and living in a different way. And also the responsibility we have, the freedom we have. The freedom to change. It's really possible to change. And then if a person changes, that has consequences and should be respected immensely. So if an evil man turns from his ways, he will not be punished. So this opens the door for change of heart, for conversion. And we see a growing discovery that's going to continue growing in this people that is making an extraordinary record of its life, of its thought, of its prayer, of its whole thinking process, of its society. In the midst of all kinds of difficulties, because the book of Ezekiel is in the midst of the exile. Sometimes hard times bring us to a lot of thinking and reflection. When we have lost the comfort zone, we have lost what we treasure, so many things, and we ponder the value of things. Just give me a second here, people. So if the evil man turns from his way, he needs to be respected. We will eventually go on to say that we even have to have great respect here. I did turn off the Wi-Fi, so I don't know what's going on. But I think we're back again here. Sorry for those who may have lost their connection, I just noticed. And the passage in the Gospel goes on further than not to judge. But let's stay with Ezekiel as well a little bit longer. When someone virtuous turns away from virtue to commit iniquity, then he has the consequences of that. Because it's not just about storing up a whole list of things we did in the past and that would give us license to do bad. It's about becoming a better person. And it's about what I'm deciding now. And each action we do affects what we're going to do later, because we're training ourselves, we're forming ourselves, we're choosing values, we're choosing to live with others. To learn to do the right, to do the good. Justice, kindness, patience, treasuring the person of the other, and my own person. Each one of us is called to become really a great person. A person with a great heart. A person who is not mean, who is bitter, opening up, blooming, blossoming. What kind of a person are you becoming? We're not just consumers of a certain amount of stuff. We're not just people that enjoy a number of thrills. We're called to great development, to great flourishing. People of great resilience. People of great patience. Imagine what happens in a family that has the burden of a child who has Down syndrome. And so many adjustments have to be made. Or just even any family when they have their first baby. So much changes. Their whole lives revolve around another person. And how that makes them greater people, better people. It's amazing to see the change in a girl that goes from a little girl to a teenager, and she becomes a mom. And how she matures and flourishes as a young woman, as a very mature mother. So generous, so self-giving, such an oasis of peace in a family, of kindness. A person whose very being is a motivation to goodness and gentleness, care, compassion, consideration, kindness in words and in deeds. We're on a path of growth. We're not a piece of rock that stays like the same forever. We're being formed and molded. We have a great destiny. And we have different circumstances that test us, and sometimes being kind and forgiving isn't easy. And sometimes people around us mightn't be as generous as we want them or expect them to be. And not to judge them. The psalm reminds us that we all have our failings. If you, O Lord, mark iniquities, who can stand? Yesterday I had a fascinating experience with visitors here, a bunch of teenagers. And I said hello to some of them, and they sounded Israeli, and then I spoke in Hebrew to my little poor Hebrew to a couple of others, and they didn't understand a word. And then I discovered they were Germans, and they were in a partnership together. They have a partnership between their schools, and they spend time studying together. And this brought me to another part of chapter 18 there in Ezekiel, which isn't our reading today, but you know, Don't blame the children for the parents' evils. But there's a possibility to start to change, to build new relationships. What a responsibility for education, to open the hearts of one for another. And it was so wonderful. It was a fantastic group of young people. I was so encouraged to see this, and I was thinking, gosh, there were two peoples that where a lot of antagonism and suffering was inflicted almost 100 years ago, 80 years ago, 90 years ago. And to raise the new generations in mutual understanding. To raise the new generations in mutual understanding. And that's a tremendous legacy. I just admire the teachers, the parents who commit to this. There are also schools here in Israel where Palestinians and Israeli children go to school together. It's called Yad V'Yad, hand in hand. And how are we going to build a future of understanding? I hope one day soon they'll have Ukrainians and Russians studying together, that all the conflicts can be overcome. The building of justice, the building of people with generous hearts, hearts ready to forgive, to build together, and not to carry on a legacy of hatred, of bitterness, of revenge. People can change, and people can be educated. No matter how much hurt has happened, we can train ourselves. We train so many. We're even capable of training animals. We mold metals. We move so much. There's so much ingenuity. We cannot have a place that is destined to hostility forever. That's not what we're called to do. We have a big mission to help our world toward mutual understanding, to encounter each other, a culture of encounter, culture of collaboration, culture of development. You've heard that it was said to your ancestors, you shall not kill, and whoever kills will be liable to judgment. But I say, who is ever angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. How to overcome that anger, to overcome so much hurt, so much difficulty, so much bad history. Let's do our little bit in our kitchen, in our communities, with our neighbours. God bless you, people. See you later, alligators. Enjoy this fantastic day. Every day is fantastic, no matter what your circumstances, because some people are talking about celebrating the fall festivities, but we're in the spring. So thanks be to God we have that great diversity simultaneously around the world. And we learn to live with each other and to grow together. See you later, alligators.